Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Cece and today we're going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of May. So surprisingly, I read quite a few books in May, so this video is going to be a little bit of a long one. So do be sure to grab your drink of choice and a little snack and let's get into it. I also apologize if you can hear the extremely loud trucks that are driving by. They're building an apartment building like just down the road from my apartment building, and so that is a constant thing that happens all the time, and we're also near the main road for the highway, so we get a lot of noise and it's quite annoying. Anyway, let's so in the month of May we read a total of I believe 8 or 9 books. I'm not entirely too sure. I'll have the actual number on the screen, but these are the physical books that I read, so let's get through these ones first. So the first one that I did read was in fact Caraval, Legendary, both by Stephanie Garber. These are the first 2 books in the Caraval series. It is a YA fantasy. It has like very whimsy, sort of fantastical fun elements, I would say. It is obviously based around a carnival. 2 main characters that are both sisters. One sister goes missing and the other one has to try and find her, and she competes in the carnival, which is like a series of games, and the person who wins the carnival ends up getting a wish. It takes a different turn when it gets to Legendary. Yeah, so far I've read these 2. I gave Caraval a 3.25 and Legendary a 3.5. They are fun reads. They honestly, to me, don't really have very much substance to them, so I'm reading these so that I can finally go and read Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. So those are those 2. I do plan on having Finale read in the month of June. It is on my June TBR, so do be sure to look out for that video. The next book that I read was Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the second and final book in the Shepherd King duology. This series is a very dark, whimsy, gothic fantasy that is definitely, for me at least, vibes over plot. Not much happens in this series and not much happens particularly in this book. Our main character is Elspeth and she lives in a world that has these magical cards. They're called the Providence cards, and I think there's like maybe 48 or something along those lines. They kind of remind me a little bit of tarot cards or like oracle cards, and each of them have the ability to give the person a type of ability. So one of it's like super strength, or there's like fast, like speed. Another one's where you can read the other person's mind, or you can control what they do, like, you know, force them to do something. Elspeth has this creature or this presence in her mind, and she has had since she was a little girl, and she sort of gets herself wrapped up in a bit of a situation with the like sort of crown's guards, I guess you could say, the king's guards. Main character, Raven, he is like the leader of the captain's guard, the crown's guard, and he's on this mission to try and find these 2 missing cards that will ultimately help them break the curse that is on the land. That's a very, very rough explanation of the books. This one carries on immediately after the end of the first book. I did not particularly like this one anywhere near as much. I don't know if it's because I left it too long to read, and I'm really sorry that the lighting has changed so dramatically. Using natural light, I can't help it, I'm sorry. But yes, I did not like this one as much as I did the first one. I don't know if it's because I left it too long in between reads. The other issue that I had with it is that I didn't connect to our main characters as much, and I just did not care for their story or for the rest of the story, really. I kind of felt like I was just meh about the whole thing. So this one I did only give, I think it was either a 2.75 or a 3 star. Alright, the next book that I read physically was Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I read this for my previous video, which was Fantasy Reader Tries Reading Popular Romance TikTok Books. I really enjoyed this. I gave this one a 4.25 out of 5 stars. I love the toxicness and just like the drama that is involved in this book, and the characters as well. So this is essentially kind of like Gossip Girl meets London Socialites in a way, but more involving the relationship and the companionship between our two main characters, Magnolia Parks and BJ Ballantyne. You get introduced to their like group of friends and stuff, and I just had a fun time reading this. It was like a train wreck you can't like stop from watching, and it is very brutal with like emotions, and it tears your heart out, but like you need to keep reading. So yeah, I really enjoy this, and I'm definitely going to continue the rest of the series. So if you have thoughts about picking this up and you don't particularly read romance, I would just give this a go anyway, because the characters themselves are interesting enough that it keeps the story going, and then you've got like the drama and the toxicness that's happening in the book already. So I definitely recommend giving this a go at least. So I'm just going to quickly talk about the 2 or 3 DNFs that I had this month. So the first one, I did try to read TikTok's like popular fantasy book, which was Amid Clouds and Bones by Ella Fields. I gave this a shot. Automatically from the get-go, I did not like the writing, but I pushed through, and I was trying to like force myself to get to like the turning point of the book where like the main story starts, rather than just having all the exposition and the backstory and stuff. So I managed to push through to about the 60-page mark, and that was where I called it a quits. I did not like the writing. I also did not gel well with the main character. She was talking about how big her breasts were from the age of like 13. And it did not gel with me. I did not like that at all. And I also didn't particularly like how the relationship between her and the male main character, at least I think is the male main character, is going. Or was going. It was I think arranged marriage trope, and so they had known that they were going to be engaged and married to each other from the time that they were really young, but there was like low-key like bully romance shenanigans happening, and I just didn't gel. So that was a no for me. The other book that I DNF'd, and this one I did really try my best to get through, and that was Twisted Games by Anna Huang. I know. Everybody loves this book, but unfortunately, I was bored. The entire time I was bored out of my brain. I managed to get through to page 160, or at least around there, but I was so bored. I did not connect to any of the characters. I did not understand the point of the massive time jumps. At the beginning of the book, in the author's note, it says that the book spans over a period of 4 years, and I just did not understand the point of that. I don't get it, and the time jumps were at very weird points. Like, I was looking forward to like what was going to happen at a certain point, and then it just skipped, and I'm like, but I wanted to see like the fallout of what happened. I wanted to see the, like, you know, what the next steps was going to be, and we just skipped it. So I really did not like this, and I just don't know if it was the writing or if it was the characters or what, but I just don't think the Twisted Game series or the Twisted series is going to be for me. I may possibly pick up the Kings of Sin series, but it's just not going to be something that's like on my top priority. And the last DNF that I had was War by Laura Thalassa. This is the second book in a sort of interconnected series where I don't believe you have to read them in order, but I was anyway. I read Pestilence at the beginning of the year. This is basically like a like a series where the four horsemen of the apocalypse, pestilence, war, famine, death, all come to Earth and like decimate everything, you know, doing what they are sent to do, and each of them end up falling in love with a human girl. I read Pestilence. It was fine. It was longer than I expected. It's about 400 or so pages long, and I didn't expect it to be that long. Didn't think it needed to be that long. And there was definitely more exposition and like world building and stuff like that than it was just like smut, which I did appreciate, but at the same time I was kind of like, okay, can we move the story along because it's getting repetitive. So Pestilence, I ended up giving it like a 2.75, maybe a 3-star. It was okay, you know, nothing to write home about. I'm not going to go and read it again, basically. And War, I do believe I managed to get through like about 100, maybe a little bit more pages than that. The entire time I was reading it, it gave me like Khal Drogo vibes from Game of Thrones, and like basically like the whole first season of Game of Thrones with Khaleesi and Khal Drogo. That's the type of vibe that I got from like how our main character was dealing with war. And it was also set in Jerusalem, which was an interesting choice. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, I DNF this one. I don't think I'm gonna continue the series. I'm not interested in it anymore, basically, is what I'm trying to say. All right, now let us move on to the only other book that I read on my Kindle, which was Binding 13. I read this for the Fantasy Reader Tries Romance book video, Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. It destroyed my heart, and I have never been this invested in characters for the longest time. Like the last time I was this invested in characters of a book series was my Throne of Glass series that I have behind me here. Like this is a like god tier book series for me. Same with A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I have not been invested in characters as much as these since I read those books for the first time. There is just something about the way that Chloe Walsh writes these books that just has you being able to like picture actual people in your head. This story is absolutely tragic and it is heartbreaking, and please, for the love of everything that is holy, check the trigger warnings before you go into this, because it was rough. It was hard at times to continue. I did have to like put it down for a moment and just like take a breather, because it is dark, it is rough. It follows Shannon, who is our main character. She is 15 years old at the beginning of the book, and our other main character, Johnny Kavanagh, who is 17. They are dealing with extremely rough situations that no teenager should be dealing with at the moment in their lives. They should be focusing on school, they should be focusing on like graduating and going to college and things like that and having fun with their friends, but they are suffering from such traumatic issues that it's just absolutely heartbreaking. But I ate this book up so quickly. It's like, at least on the Kindle, it's like an 870 page book. I read it in 2 sittings. This book hurts, okay? So be warned when you go into reading it. It hurts, okay? I gave this book a 4.75 out of 5 stars. So those are all of the books that I read for the month of May. I am interested to see what I'm going to end up reading for the month of June, just because I've read so many new things at the moment that like the TBR I have, I kind of don't want to read it. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself, just because like I am in a mood reading kind of mood at the moment. Did that make sense? I don't know if that made sense or not, but I'm in a mood reading mood, and I don't want to force myself to read something that's going to put me in a slump. So if I don't end up reading my TBR for June, I don't particularly mind. I'll just redo it another time. But yes, so if you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts down below. If you have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts as well. I would love to chat with you down below in the comments. Or you can come over to my TikTok and Instagram. I have those both linked down below, and I am being more active on there. So do be sure to check those out as well. So that is all I have time for today, so I will talk to you guys in another video. Thank you so much for watching.